Hi, I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Ben.
Together we are 15 degrees north.
Today we're going to show you the sights and sounds of Bosnia. Bosnia and Herzegovina is a Balkan country that sits in the middle of the territory that once made up Yugoslavia.
Bordered by Serbia, Croatia and Montenegro, Bosnia is its northern portion and Herzegovina is in the south.
So what about the Republic of Srpska?
Well, that's a whole other thing, but we didn't make it to that part of the country, so we won't go into too much detail on that.
But Bosnia is federated with Herzegovina, but that's also one entity within the nation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, with the other of which is the Republic of Srpska, which isn't independent but still different from Bosnia and Herzegovina, but it is in neither Bosnia nor Herzegovina. Got it?
Nope.
We entered the country from Dubrovnik, which is actually very close to the border.
It's easy to cross with no visas required, but the difference between the countries is evident immediately.
Croatia is Christian, EU, and historically part of the European empires. Bosnia is Muslim, non-EU, and historically part of the Ottoman Empire.
They might sit side by side, but they are poles apart culturally.
What do the Poles have to do with it?
Nothing at all. Wrong Slavs.
Everyone knows about the Pocitelj lakes in Croatia, but this is a much cheaper and lesser known experience. Far less crowded and much easier to get to, so yeah, Bosnia. The biggest tourist destination in the country is the ancient town of Mostar.
It's easily accessible by road from Dubrovnik, so tourists often book a day trip across to see it.
Subsequently, during the day it's full of people, and at night, well, you have the run of the place.
Sitting on the banks of the river Neretva, Mostar is named after its most famous landmark, the Stari Most, which means Old Bridge.
Built in the 16th century by the Ottomans, it is a rainbow bridge, meaning that it forms a perfect semicircle, and when reflected in the water, that makes
a perfect triangle?
A perfect circle!
The bridge has long been prized as one of the most exemplary example of Balkan Islamic architecture, but then the Balkan Wars came along.
In 1993, following heavy bombardment of the city by the Croatian military, the bridge collapsed into the river. Once the war was over, reconstructing this national treasure became a high priority, and the reconstructed version was opened again in 2004.
Considerable effort was also made to restore the Old Town too, which resulted in the bridge and its surrounding streets being classed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
The bridge was properly damaged during the Balkan War, but as you can see now, it has been repaired to its former glory, and it looks remarkable.
Bosnia feels just like any other European country, but then you get to Mostar and you realise, yes, it is a Muslim country, the only one in Europe.
Because there's mosques everywhere.
Indeed.
The river that runs through Mostar comes out of the mountain right here, and perched on the edge is a beautiful Muslim monastery.
Bosnia and Herzegovina is a mountainous country, containing a large chunk of the Dinaric Alps.
50% of the country is forested, but with such huge chunks of the country sitting at high altitude, it is noticeably colder here than most of its Balkan neighbours.
We went in October, and while Croatia was around the low 20s each day, Bosnia was in single-digit degrees, with it falling close to freezing at midnight.
In winter, the mountains are covered in snow, which is why the Winter Olympics were held here in 1984.
We are road tripping into the mountains, and we've discovered that the last hour or so of the drive is unpaved.
Yeah, 12 kilometers.
Which apparently takes about an hour or so we shall see how we do. I'm not too nervous about it.
It's meant to be gorgeous.
I'm looking forward to the scenery, but no tarmac. We love nothing more than getting away from the beaten track to have an authentic experience of a country.
In Europe, it has become increasingly more and more difficult to find traces of these, but high in the mountains of Bosnia, you can absolutely do that.
There are a handful of mountain villages far from the tourist trail where life hasn't changed in centuries.
The people are shepherds, they live off the land, and contact with the outside world is limited.
We visited Lukomir, which sits at an altitude of almost 1,500 meters.
It is also officially Bosnia's most remote village.
We visited many ethnographic museums around Europe that showcase what life used to be like on the continent before the 20th century changed everything, but this was the first time that we've ever been to a village that looks, feels, and is exactly the same as it was 100 years ago.
So was it worth driving 1 hour on gravel roads?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, just look at that view. Stunning! This is not the kind of place that you come for a day trip. This is the kind of place you stay over at night, experience the authenticity of this village, and just soak it up. It's like stepping into the past. If you're lucky enough to visit Lukomir, please remember that this is a real village with real people who live there.
There may be a handful of visitors, but nothing has been staged here whatsoever.
Subsequently, the people really aren't that keen on having their photo taken.
Yeah, we discovered that when an old lady really was not impressed when we took a photo of her herding her sheep into the village.
She was pretty angry.
I mean, do you remember that time an old Bosnian lady placed a curse on us?
Oops. We always make cat friends on a holiday. What have we called this one?
This one's called Govina.
As in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Govina.
There you go.
When we were in Croatia, a woman we met said she was really jealous that we were going to Bosnia because the food is so good there.
She was absolutely, categorically, fundamentally right.
It was genuinely exceptional, and we weren't expecting it to be so good.
You must make sure to try everything.
Our final stop in Bosnia was its capital, Sarajevo.
For us, children of the 90s, the name conjures images of a war-torn city destroyed by the Balkan Wars.
That was, of course, true. However, since 1996, the city was quickly rebuilt, with its centre now a busy and attractively restored old town.
Built by the Ottomans originally, the city has two major claims to fame. Let's see if you can remember what they are.
Well, the first is to do with the World War I, right?
Correct. World War I started here, and as any educated child should know, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated here in 1914, which led to all the European powers forming two big alliances that then spent 5 years trying to annihilate each other. And the second? I'll give you a clue. It's a very unpleasant world record.
Oh yes, the siege of Sarajevo. It holds the world record of being the longest siege of any city ever in the history of modern warfare.
Correct. 1,425 days, in fact.
We went to a museum that explained how between April 1992 and February 1996, the city was shelled daily and snipers fired regularly at its inhabitants.
It was a regular occurrence for children to be shot at while they played in the street, with dodging bullets becoming a daily occurrence for the entire population.
Today, the bullet holes can still be seen all over the city, peppering the building with traces of its city's important history.
Our time in Bosnia and Herzegovina was a fascinating and wonderful trip.
If you're looking for a true European undiscovered gem, then you have to come and discover this wonderful country. Thanks for watching.
Be sure to like, share and subscribe.
And follow us on Instagram at 15 Degrees North.
Make sure to tune in to our next video to see where in the world we end up next.
See ya.
Bye!